Angry MGTOW here, and today we're discussing Roaming Millennial the Aftermath. A MGTOW falls in love. Yeah. Let's go ahead and play the intro. So there, like you saw, we're discussing a MGTOW falls in love. And that MGTOW is me. After sitting and speaking with Roaming Millennial, my heart is throbbing, among other things. And I can't stop thinking about her. I can't stop thinking about how rational and how really awesome she is. And she seems so understanding. And guys, don't can't you tell I'm totally full of shit at the moment? Come on. I'm the angry MGTOW. And do you really think that I would cross over to the dark side that easily? I mean, come, guys, give me a little bit more credit than that. Give me a little bit more credit than that. Actually, give me a lot more credit than that. I mean, how could you say that about me? At the end of the day, the conversation I had with Roaming Millennial round two was actually really cool. And again, there's a lot of people who are saying that I fucked up allowing her to speak on the channel again. Some people said that, well, it was just a continuation from the previous video, which was a painful video that some people pointed out. But that's not how I saw any of that. Some people say that she owned me yet again. Guys, here's what I really want to talk about. For everyone saying I failed to make critical arguments in the video and allowed Roaming Millennial to punk me, I think you're absolutely missing the point. I just moved the microphone a little, so yeah. Shit. Guys, bear with me. I'm just adjusting the mic for you. Okay. So, for everyone saying that I allowed Roaming to punk me, I think you're absolutely missing the point. If I had attacked her using anger, it would have failed as it did last time. She's very experienced when it comes to debating. And it's something we talked about, the fact that it's different when you have a conversation. It's different actually talking to someone and having to think your way through a discussion versus reading from a teleprompter like Lauren Southern. And I think I achieved a lot in this video. For example, she admitted that women do tend to be narcissistic and materialistic more so than men, and especially in the West or Western societies. Although she pointed out that in Asia, for example, women are different than that. They're culturally are different. But she does admit that women do tend to have more so that nature than men do. And she does admit to female nature. She doesn't sit around and pretend to be in the Walt, which is something you guys have to admire. She even went as far as calling out the average anti-feminist, and even went as far as calling out herself, admitting to the lack of objectivity when it comes down to pushing for real social change to address female privileges that exist and that literally create disparities between men and women, like women not having to register for the draft, or women have special rights in courts, or all the special rights and privileges that women have that affect men, that are not fair. And she actually acknowledged that and said that that's something that she needs to do more of on her own channel, and that a lot of anti-feminists don't do. She also had a pretty good sense of humor about a lot of things that were said. You know, everything from go make, telling her to go make me a sandwich to, her not wanting my penis in her anymore because I didn't assert my dominance. She had a really good sense of humor, which is something that a lot of women in general, you really wouldn't expect from them. So I definitely appreciated that in my conversation with her. Now, she furthermore made a bunch of concessions within her own arguments. And my goal wasn't to stronghold her, it was to have a reasonable conversation, which I think went amazingly well. I didn't expect her to be subservient and agree that women belong in the kitchen by the end of the video. I think she made an exception. I think that she may be an exceptional woman. However, the average woman is not, which is a point that I made in the video. And if women want to prove that they are equal to men, then let's see how they will survive without all the social welfare programs that they have in place today. This is a point that Roaming actually agreed with. She believes women would be better off without these programs and should stand on their own 2 feet. I believe most women won't be able to make it in this way or will just barely get by in a society without rampant social welfare programs for women. Ultimately, this would result in women learning that they either need a man or that they will have to work hard in the same way men do to survive and prove that they are as capable without complaining. Again, I don't expect her to hate women. She is a woman. And I don't expect her to literally say women are not as capable as men because she prides herself on being a woman who is capable. So, again, I think that it comes down to letting women see reality for themselves by experiencing reality for themselves, which is something that she is also pushing for. I think that she was very understanding. And again, I don't know what more people really wanted. I typically don't do interviews with women or have debates. This was not an interview. It was just us talking, kind of shooting the shit a little bit. And, you know, we have to talk about the MGTOW thing. Being a MGTOW is about how what you want to be. Now, I am the angry MGTOW, but at the same time, I'm not like ranting and going off my rocker like all the time. Part of the thing with being an angry MGTOW is that you guys enjoy when I talk like this. And I say that, I speak with conviction in my voice because there's an issue at hand, something that needs to be changed because there's some social injustice. A lot of you guys like it when I speak like that. You like the authority. You like hearing me talk like that. You like the anger. But I don't necessarily need to speak like that all the time to get my message true. The truth is that we need a balance in life. We all need a balance in life. Hearing what she had to say didn't make this channel any less MGTOW. You're all grown men. We're not afraid of women. That's one thing. At least I'm not. I chose for a long time not to have anything to do with them. But at the same time, I realized that maybe I was putting myself into kind of an echo chamber as well. And, I look at the the utopia idea where I suggested that we should have a utopia where there's only men and there'd be no women. And have I changed my mind since I spoke to Roaming? Have I changed my perspective? Am I suddenly saying that I want a woman? And no, I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying any of that. I will say that I am beginning to open my mind up to hoping maybe somehow we can find a way going forward that doesn't involve the most extreme means, although when I look at how narcissistic women are today, Roaming, she talked about the good relationships that she has with the men in her life. And I think she was basing her experiences with the men in her life. She was looking at that and comparing it to general society, saying, well, if I get along with guys, then it can't be that bad. But again, that's why I said I think that she may be an exceptional woman. I'm not calling her into Walt. She's still a woman. She still has female nature. But what I'm saying is that I think that she's a bit more reasonable, but she doesn't seem to. I don't think she understands that the average American woman is not very reasonable. And the average American man has suffered, the average Western man has suffered greatly because of women. Just dealing with them has become painful. So I think that she's relating her experiences as a woman and the way that she behaves with the men and thinks to other women, when in reality, most other women aren't like that. Most women are, you know, I don't want to go right on and use the word toxic, but toxic feels appropriate. But again, my point is that I was never trying to, create an environment where me and her would be arguing back and forth. I just wanted a normal conversation. And if you listen to the actual video, she made many concessions. She acknowledged many different points. What more would you guys want? I think that a lot of guys just hate the fact that I had her on here in the first place. A lot of guys hate the fact that I didn't yell at her or scream at her. What the hell would that have even achieved? Getting her? I mean, imagine if I did somehow get her to cry on stream. Would that have made you guys feel better? Would that have made any of us feel better? So what? It wouldn't have achieved anything for us. It wouldn't have done anything for us. If I broke one woman, it wouldn't have done anything. I mean, at some point you kind of have to come back to planet Earth. You do have to kind of come down a little bit. And in terms of this whole thing that now I'm in love with Roaming, I don't even know her very well. I honestly don't. This was the second conversation I had with her. Aside from this, I've spoken to her a little bit on Twitter. And I've spoken to her a little bit on Twitter, and our conversations on Twitter have been very few and far in between. That's the honest truth. So there hasn't been much communication between us. Again, this was the second time I had actually spoken to her, had a verbal conversation with her. But I think it went really, really well. And again, while I'm not going to sit here and call her an Walt, I definitely think that it does show there are some women who can control their nature. I mean, think about it. Last time I got into a conversation with her, I tried to go full angry, and that didn't work. And even if I had been more assertive, even if I had been, felt up to myself that day, because I wasn't feeling so great the day that I did the first conversation with her. Even if I could have been more dominant in that conversation, who really cares? I think I achieved a lot more by getting her to actually acknowledge a lot of the things that, I think that MGTOW say are happening that women don't say. Now, the things that she didn't agree with, for example, the relationship between men and women, she's also young. She said that she was 22. I believe 22. So she doesn't know everything. I don't know everything. We all don't know everything. I think the relationship between men and women are a lot more severe than she realizes. However, maybe there's somewhere in between that we can meet. Honestly, I think that this generation of millennial women are going to have it much more difficult than they would imagine, to be very honest. But again, it still doesn't change the fact that I'm acknowledging we can possibly find some middle ground. It's not going to be every woman, because I think most women are going to have to experience a learning curve. But at least here we have one woman who's actually admitting, that that even in her case, she was not acknowledging female privilege and going and calling it out, and the fact that there needs to be change and women need to lose some of these privileges. Did you hear me? I mean, she acknowledged that women need to lose some of these privileges that they have in divorce court, that they have in the military, that they have in general, and these social welfare programs that prop them up. She admitted to that. What more do some of you guys want? It's not about stomping on a woman to make ourselves feel better as MGTOW. We don't achieve anything like that. I know a lot of us have anger inside of us, but You know, I used to be like that where I would do things to make a woman's life more miserable. You know, if I can get a woman to lose her job, or if I can get her punished by society, or I used to do that and I would end up feeling bad in the end. But think about it. What does it really achieve? For many of us, it's like we're trying to get back at the woman who hurt us. We're trying to get back at mom, or we're trying to get back at society. And you feel like sometimes you go after a single woman, or two women, or three women, or four women, or five, or 10. And now you're making a real change because you hurt those women. And the women who hurt you, or the society that hurt you as a man, now they're feeling it. But no, they're not. You hurt that group of women. It doesn't change the fact that the rest of society, those other women in society, are a group of narcissists. You know, attacking a single woman, or a group of women, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't. So real social change will occur when society changes the privileges that women get. It acknowledges the grievances of men. Now, the truth is that the only time society will actually acknowledge the grievances of men is when women lose their privileges and they want men to stand with them. So then they'll start picking apart the grievances of men, because now they'll have the same grievances. Ultimately, though, men have learned that, society doesn't give a damn, so you just have to move forward and forge your own path. This is going to be something women have a hard time with, because women are used to being given special privileges. I'm going to have another video coming out where I'll be talking about Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley was a governor recently, and she's the former governor of a state in the U.S. I forget which state, but she was the first female governor. And Nikki Haley is also an anti-feminist. She's an anti-feminist, and some of the things that she says almost sound downright hateful of feminism. Donald Trump has been essentially putting together an administration that includes a bunch of anti-feminist women who have, I don't want to use the word hate, but they have a bit of animosity towards feminism. Nikki Haley is the new ambassador to the UN, or she's basically in charge of the UN now. She's basically in charge of the UN right now. And think about this very carefully. What do you think? She made a statement today that the US would be taking names. Think about that. She said we would be taking names. The whole speech that Emma Watson gave at the UN, the he for she, that happened under a man, I believe. Okay? First off, that was Obama and his cronies. Nikki Haley, do you think that would never have happened? That whole he for she speech would never have happened at the UN under Nikki Haley, from what I could tell. She probably would have thrown Emma Watson out on her ass. You don't seem to realize that we're entering a different age. And I'm looking at the comments and I'm seeing that there's some guys who are, literally saying that I've lost it. I'm melodramatic. Outlaw the Jew says, I've never been in denial that I have hatred towards women. Do you see that, guys? Like, I don't hate women, but I think that I definitely was developing a very strong indifference to them, to the point where I don't even know. Like, I talked about the fact that I've gotten laid recently, and I think that after that happening, I kind of relaxed a little bit. My blood pressure has definitely come down. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot more calm, and I think that I think that part of that experience definitely helped me to mellow out a little bit. And I think that there's a lot of guys who have a lot of anger towards women. They're angry about the things women have done. Now I'm sitting here and I'm not in love with Roaming Millennial. I'm not in love with any woman at the moment. But at the same time, I can kind of look at things from a more mellow perspective where I can just listen. I can listen. I don't expect people to agree with me and to say the things, and I offer my viewpoints, and that's really it. We have to be really honest about that, guys. We have to be honest that we're not going to agree on everything. We're not going to agree with every single thing. Some guy says, "Angry MGTOW, we need your angry voice back." Like I said, some of you guys love it when I have the angry voice. Like when I say, when I get really angry and I start acting with the conviction. You guys love that. You know, I'm sure the angry McTowell will come out again. But right now you're talking to the mellow to the mellow McTowell. You're talking to the mellow McTowell. And I'm just kind of relaxing and just being honest with you guys and rational with you guys. And come on, guys, I put out so much angry videos for you. You've got tons of videos where I'm ranting and raving to choose from. So you guys can handle a few mellow videos, all right? You're not going to die if I don't sound like my old self where I'm constantly saying, "And women will never change. They will never change. And because of that, men have to be aware of female nature. Men have to stand up to the gynocentrism as they go their own way, as they forge their own paths." Guys, come on. You can live without that angry for a little bit. But there you go. I can still turn it on. I can still turn on the anger for you guys. I can still turn on the anger for you guys. So it'll make a recurrence at some point, I think. Although I don't want to do it too often because it raises my blood pressure too much. And it fucks with my head. Harris 3693 says Trump is king. Trump is doing a lot of really amazing things, and he's bringing about a great deal of social change based on the policies that he's implementing, but also the people that he's choosing to work with. And like I said, the people, especially the women that he's hiring, these are women who don't like feminism. These are women who have children. Kellyanne Conway, she said that her favorite title is mommy. Her favorite title is mommy. Mommy. She's a mother first, everything else second. Think about that very carefully. That's a really great compromise. Be a mother first, everything else is second. And they're literally forging something new for women. They're setting a new example and a new tone for women. Sure, you can go on to do something else in life. You can be a doctor. You can be a engineer, although a lot of women don't want to be engineers. You can be a politician, but a woman's primary place is first being a mother and a wife, and then everything else comes second. And I think that is the best path for a woman, to realize that her primary function is to be a mother, to be a wife, and then everything else comes afterwards. I think that is the best way, because I think that's the way that women are most happiest. Kellyanne Conway, that's Trump's counselor, his advisor. She's the person closest to the president. She hates feminists, and she basically makes it very clear that her primary function in life is to be a mother. So if you guys don't think that change is coming, it's coming. It's coming, and it's going to come rapidly. And it's going to come to universities. The universities are pretty much the feminist strongholds. They're where people go, they're the feminist indoctrination centers. And they're going to begin cutting funding to these universities. And once they start cutting funding to the universities, these universities are going to start collapsing. And I'll tell you something else. As these universities begin to collapse because they're losing federal funding, they're going to be turning around and saying, well, we need programs that are going to create money for us and bring people in. Now, what are the primary programs that help make money for universities beyond federal funding? Athletic programs, specifically male athletic programs. Many of these programs have been cut in recent years because of this whole, if you have this many basketball players, you also need to have a female basketball team and all that other crap. When all the federal funds begin to dissolve, they're going to want men to come back to the universities. They're going to want men to help build these programs, their aerospace and design programs, their athletic programs, their engineering programs. They're going to want to attract as many men as possible back to these universities when shit hits the fan and federal funding dries up, and they won't be able to make them into feminist cesspools anymore. And at this point, all these policies on campus, they're going to begin to vanish. Like I said, yes means yes. The very moment yes means yes goes before the Supreme Court, that shit is going to get thrown out. The very same rape laws that we have, I've said it already. Many of the rape laws, manspreading, all this crap, a lot of these things are going to be fought by women. I've already said it. As men are choosing to have fewer relationships with women, as women realize, oh, we need men, and men don't want to have anything to do with us, the policies that deter men from wanting to have relationships with women realize quickly that their sexuality is the number one thing that they have. It's pretty much the only thing that they have to attract a man. But if men are too worried or too afraid or seeing that your woman's sexuality is no longer worth it, they have nothing to use. And it'll be women who attack the government saying, okay, well, you need to stop because men don't want to fuck us anymore and we don't have anything else to offer. That's honestly it. You'd be amazed how women will behave when it comes down to when their asses are on the line. Feminism is dead. It's dead, and it's going to go down excruciatingly. That's the honest to goodness truth. And what ethnicity is angry MGTOW? I'm part Asian, bro. Sofan Bun says, shut the door in her face. Again, you guys are men. You have your convictions. No one is going to change your minds. You know what you believe in. So having Roaming Millennial on this channel did not do a great injustice to anyone. You guys have your own convictions. And at the end of the day, it was up to you whether or not you wanted to listen to the message or if you wanted to completely ignore it entirely. One of the problems that we have in MGTOW is that we have echo chamber vets. And there are some people in MGTOW who are shut in completely, and they don't want to hear anything that goes against their views and what they think as acceptable. And I don't blame them entirely, because when you look at society, it's like society is constantly trying to indoctrinate men with bullshit and trying to fool men into accepting gynocentrism. So you literally wrap yourself in MGTOW, in a layer of MGTOW, but sometimes that layer is not just anger, it's also, it can lead to hatred, and you have to be so careful. I've talked about walking the line between anger and hatred, and that's why I keep on saying I'm not hateful. I am not a hateful person. But if you don't walk the line between anger and hatred very carefully, anger becomes hatred, and when anger becomes hatred, you are lost. And you can't see rationality or reason. You can't think coherently. I use anger as a stage before analysis. I use anger to tell me that something is wrong, there is a problem, I analyze the issue and then I apply a solution after I figure out what that solution is. That's how I use anger. But there are a lot of people who use anger to help push towards hatred. Anger fuels their hatred, and hatred fuels destruction. There's nothing productive in hatred. There's nothing of value in hatred. I'm looking at the ratings right now. I have 8 likes and 4 dislikes. So there's obviously a lot of people who are angry at me for, having the nerve to have a conversation with a woman. But guys, you have to understand that being a MGTOW doesn't mean that you're afraid to have a conversation with a woman. Being a MGTOW, and this whole thing about the MGTOW space, you're not going to be able to keep MGTOWs out. Harris 3693 says, "Date moaning millennial, or I would swoop her off your feet." Angry MGTOW. BSI MGTOW says, "Wow, they never learn." Nate Reynolds says, "Angry, you hitting that, bro?" Oh my gosh. Like, wow. Like, this is, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to take the lumps. I'm going to take these lumps from you guys because I know that, like, this is where, like, a lot of you are saying, here you are angry after all the shit that you've said over the years about women, and here you are having a conversation with a woman. You look like a fucking hypocrite. And I understand where some of you guys are coming from. But at the same time, I've always tried to convey that I'm an angry MGTOW, but I'm not a hateful MGTOW, and I'm not trying to be closed-minded. For a long time, I was a MGTOW monk, and I chose not to have very few relationships with women. Even now, after having a conversation with Roaming, I still haven't decided if I want to continue down the MGTOW monk path. That was a conversation with one woman. One woman. And I have to decide if I want to continue down the MGTOW monk path, where I completely keep myself away from women, meaning very limited contact, very few conversations outside of the very needed conversations that you simply have to have. For example, you go to the grocery store, there's a female cashier, or I go to the doctor and my doctor's a woman. Again, things like that. I have to make that decision. But there's nothing wrong with choosing to converse with a woman as a MGTOW. MGTOW is men going their own way. It's not men never speaking to women. It's not men not having sex with women. Even though we're going our own way, it doesn't mean that we hate women. Doesn't mean that there aren't some MGTOWs that love women. It doesn't mean that there aren't some MGTOWs that have sex with women or regular sex with women. It's just a matter of going your own way, and forging your path for yourself as you're not getting married, you're not having children, and you're focusing on yourself and your own passions. And yet again, I am getting so much hate and so many dislikes. It's like 10 likes, 9 dislikes right now. So guys, if you support me, definitely go and hit that like button and counteract the haters, because there's a lot of haters like downvoting the video right now. And this is me being honest with you guys. I could sit here on a pedestal and, tell everyone what they want to hear. Because a lot of people just want to hear what they want to hear. They want to hear some angry man ranting into a microphone and, providing them with the entertainment that they so enjoy. But I'm trying to have a rational and coherent conversation with you guys right now. And I'm trying to look for some kind of middle ground. I don't want to spend the rest of my life fighting. And if it was possible that we could actually come to a middle ground where we weren't in this horrible environment with men and women, I don't ever expect men to forget what women have done, and I don't think they should. But at the same time, spending all your time being angry with women, that doesn't help any of us. I didn't say hateful. I said being angry over the things women do. That's not helpful. And a lot of times you spend time being not only angry over the things women do, but you end up angry at women. You end up angry at women. That's no way to live. That's no way to live. I'm choosing to be a MGTOW and define MGTOW for myself. And I talked about it in roaming that there's no such thing as Super Saiyan MGTOW or MGTOW level 9000. Me being a MGTOW monk doesn't make me better than a MGTOW like what's his name? One of my No Holds Bar. No Holds Bar. He's a guy who works out, takes care of himself, fucks some really great girls, and he's a really great MGTOW content producer. You know, he's very expressive in the material that the content that he makes, and I would never say that being a MGTOW monk made me more of a MGTOW than No Holds Bar. No, I would never ever say that. And as I talk, I'm still getting downvotes, and I don't care. Okay? MGTOW is how you choose to define your life. You live MGTOW the way you want to live it. You don't let some MGTOW community tell you how to live it. MGTOW is not a movement. MGTOW is a philosophy. MGTOW is about freedom. Why do you think all the feminists are fleeing? Why do you think women are fleeing feminism right now? Because feminism is literally defining what women can do, what they can say. It's literally taking their choices away from them. That's not MGTOW. That's why we have to be very careful with allowing MGTOW to become a movement that you have to adhere to specific social standards, because that was never what MGTOW was designed for. MGTOW has always been designed as a basic philosophy to help enrich the lives of men, not to control the lives of men. That's MGTOW. MGTOW is freedom. MGTOW is a framework for a better life, but it's not a framework to control your life. We don't want that. We're not looking to create a feminism for men. And we have to be very careful and be well aware that within MGTOW, just as within many ideologies, there will always be those who try to control you and as they control the narrative and define what is acceptable from what is unacceptable. At the end of the day, I can't tell you as a man how to be a MGTOW. And I've said it before that I don't want people to follow me. I want people to learn how to lead their own lives and to lead and to find their own happiness and forge their own paths. That's what truly makes the MGTOW philosophy powerful. It's about being a leader, not a follower. And we have to be aware of that and acknowledge that there are people who will try to control the narrative if we don't stop them, if we don't forge our own paths and listen to ourselves and decide what is right for us as men. MGTOW is about being a leader of yourself, not being a follower of others. So when I say the things I do and I explain why I've chosen to go down this path, I want men to understand it's not that I'm betraying men. It's just that I'm choosing to live MGTOW the way I want to live MGTOW. And that's how life works. You're going to have your ups and your downs, and you have to make your decisions for yourselves. You have to forge your own path. You have to do what's right for you. There's really often no right and wrong answer in life. Like I said, MGTOW is just a very basic philosophy that can easily be convoluted by a group of people who try to control the narrative. You know, for example, MGTOW attracts a lot of angry men, but MGTOW is not about being an angry man. MGTOW attracts a lot of men who choose not to have anything to do with women. But MGTOW is not a philosophy that is geared around having nothing to do with women. It's about not having children with women and not getting married to women, because we understand what happens as a result of getting married to women and having children with them. But it's not about saying we don't want to have relationships with them, or that we hate them, or that you can't even have affection for a woman. With being a MGTOW, you often gain a certain amount of awareness to female nature and how female nature can be toxic and the things that can happen when you don't stay aware of what can happen, when you don't stay aware of female nature, when you allow yourself to be fooled and to be guided by a woman. But at the same time, MGTOW is about forging your own path and finding your own destiny. That's the joy and beauty of MGTOW. So as men, we have to be well aware that we should choose our own path. We shouldn't be allowing others to define what's acceptable for us or how we run our lives or hell, how I run my channel. I'm not I'm not trying to be a leader of men, and I'm definitely not trying to be a leader of MGTOW. At the end of the day, it's all about forging your own path as a man. That is MGTOW. All right? And I can see that there's a lot of people who are angry with me for putting it out there like that. I don't regret having a conversation with Roaming Millennial, but at the same time, I'm not head over heels with her. I have not fallen in love with her, but I would be definitely be open to having further conversations with her and maybe even other women. Because again, I am choosing to live my life as I want to. MGTOW is not about an echo chamber. MGTOW is not about choosing not to have anything to do with a woman, although you can choose not to have anything to do with a woman as a MGTOW, because that's the freedom of being a MGTOW. You can have something to do with them, you can choose not to have anything to do with them. It doesn't make you any less or any more of a MGTOW. Saying that you don't want to have conversations with women, again, that doesn't make you any more or less of a MGTOW. You make your own path, you forge your own path, you forge your own destiny as a MGTOW. I'm looking at a comment from Outlaw Jew in the comments, and he says, I hate women and I'm 100% honest about it. Yes, I love women's bodies and physical features and whatnot, but why do I hate women? Not from a lack of physical attraction. So yeah, there are some men who hate women and MGTOW, but that doesn't mean that all of us have to be men that hate women or that it's a primary function of MGTOW. Hatred is hatred it hurts you much more than it hurts anyone else. I learned that firsthand being the angry MGTOW. When I left MGTOW a year ago, well, 2 years ago, it's been a long time. When I left MGTOW and I closed the MGTOW United channel, I needed time to get over my hatred for women because I wasn't angry. I was filled with hate. I wasn't just angry. I was filled with hate. And after I took time, it didn't change. And I got to, see what women were more like, and I got to step outside of the hate. I began realizing women are exactly the way that I thought they were, but it doesn't mean I have to learn to hate them, because the hatred, it only hurts me more than it hurts anyone else. It doesn't benefit anyone. It definitely doesn't benefit me. I won't have a better quality of life hating a woman. Being aware of female nature doesn't mean you have to hate them. Hating a woman doesn't help the situation. If you look at the conversation I had with Roaming Millennial this time, we got lots of concessions. She admitted a lot of things. What more did you want from her? Honestly, I'm thinking that there would have been almost no possible way for me to have had a conversation with her that some MGTOWs would have agreed with, unless somehow she had I don't know. Nothing that I would have said to her would have probably been acceptable to a lot of MGTOWs, because there's a lot of men who simply don't want to have anything to do with a woman at all. And again, for a long time, that has been me. But it doesn't mean that that's what it means to be a MGTOW. So for anyone who thinks that being a MGTOW is about controlling the narrative or being being in an echo chamber, that's not being a MGTOW. A MGTOW is about forging your path and your own path and living your life the way you choose to live it as a man. That's what MGTOW is. I'm looking at some of the chats right now. Sofan Bun says this is a testosterone zone. In fact, it is. MGTOW is a place for men, male nature, for men to express themselves freely. And here I am expressing myself freely, and we're having rational and coherent conversations right now. We're having a real conversation about a real issue that we're not running away from, we're not deviating away from. That's what we're doing as men. That's how men have been in the past. Real men talk their issues out. Real men are not afraid to deal with their issues head on. And that's what it means to be a man. That's what it really means to be a man. To deal with things on your own terms. And that's the joy of being a man, not waiting for someone else to solve your problem for you. And this is what we're doing. We're talking about our issues. Not everyone's going to like it, but here's the thing. Do I believe that all women share a same nature? Yes. Do all women possess the same capacity to destroy a man's life? Yes. But do all women think the exact same way? Down to the dot? I don't think so. Like I said, when I spoke to Roaming Millennial, when I tried when I tried coming at her from an angry attitude, from an angry point of view, it didn't work. And a lot of that shows that culture makes a big difference. The way that women are raised, especially by fathers, it changes how they behave and they grow up and function in life. The reason why women today are so narcissistic and off the wall is because of their Western feminist mothers, something that Blonde in the Belly of the Beast brought up. Feminist mothers are the ones that created toxic daughters and emasculated sons. And it was feminized fathers, the baby boomer men, who sat back and allowed this to happen while they were focused on collecting their social security later on in life and their social security and getting as much pussy and marijuana and then cocaine as they could. That's what actually ended up happening, guys. You know, I look at baby boomer men and I realize that they are the most toxic generation that we've had in many years, because baby boomer men were worried about their social security when they were our age. When they were millennials, hell, even teenagers, they were thinking about social security. And it allowed them to act irresponsible because they figured that those entitlements would be around to take care of them later on in life so they would not starve to death. But going forward, there's not going to be any social security for me, for any of us. For most of the men listening to this podcast right now, there is no social security for any of us. We're all going to have to stand on our own 2 feet or we're going to starve to death. And there's going to be a lot of men who starve, and there's going to be a shitload of women who starve because they are going to learn what it means to either provide or not survive. And I said that's what's really going to usher back in an age where women want men, when women need men, but they won't be able to get them. It's going to be a major shift, and there's going to be a major change. And in many ways, I think women will simply have to evolve. They will have to evolve or they will not survive. Kane 825 says women don't belong in MGTOW spaces. And I agree entirely, women don't belong in a MGTOW space. But here, keep in mind, I just had a conversation with her. We're open to different perspectives. We don't allow regular, you're not going to find a clubhouse where a woman comes in and she's a regular part of the narrative. At no point was Roaming Millennial a regular part of MGTOW narrative. We just heard her perspectives, her takes, and we exchanged feedback. But she's not a MGTOW. She's not like a community staple like Sabella Shepherd, who's a stray cat we just can't seem to get rid of. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't live in an echo chamber. Diamond X says Buddha is an OG MGTOW. I mean, you make some good points about Buddha as well. But Buddha, if you want to really talk about the Buddha created a very simple philosophy. And they took his philosophy and they convoluted it, adding ceremonial things to it and all kinds of crap, literally changing the very nature. The way that the Buddhists dressed, many of the Buddhist practices that exist today, all of that crap, it's not even around. I remember reading a book where it explained what it means to be a Buddhist, and the guy who wrote the book was a Buddhist, but he said that he doesn't even refer to himself as a Buddhist when people ask him if he's a Buddhist, because the very notion of being a Buddhist today has been transformed from a basic philosophy on living to an entire religion. MGTOW is not a religion. Feminism is a religion, guys. Feminism is a religion. It's a cult, it's a religion, it's a cancer. MGTOW is not a religion. It's not a religion. Religions suck. Religions suck. We don't want MGTOW to become a religion. Because when it becomes a religion, then we end up with ceremonies, we end up with norms, we end up with a bunch of other shit that has nothing to do with the core basic philosophy of what it means to be a MGTOW. And then you end up with a group of people sitting at the top collecting money. I talked about it before. I joked about the Church of Sandman, but that's what you end up with. You end up with people who basically say that they control the narrative, they are representatives of the message, and you need to pay them if you want to play. Come on, that's not MGTOW. MGTOW is literally going your own way. Before the word MGTOW even existed, there were men already going MGTOW. MGTOW is a philosophy that is much older than us. MGTOW is a philosophy that goes back thousands of years. There have been men going their own way for a very long time. I get messages from men all the time that I've been a MGTOW for the last 30 or 40 years, but I didn't even know what a MGTOW was. But I've been a MGTOW all along. MGTOW is just a description of a specific behavior that men are using, a choices that MGTOW are making. It's an ideology. It's a set of core beliefs. But that's it. The word MGTOW, MGTOW, means it's nothing special. It just describes our ideology. That's it. So I'm a man going my own way. I'm a man forging my own path. I'm a man choosing my own destiny. And that's all that we can really ask for as men. All we can really ask for is to be men going our own way, to forge our own path, to be leaders of our own lives. That's the joy of MGTOW. Some guy says Sandman passed up. Angry MGTOW, broken heart for now. Let's have a look. Rusty Shackford says Sandman equals Warren Jeffs. And you guys are making some very funny points. Bebu Sanders says MGTOW needs to end. You're fighting a losing battle. Well, that's where you're wrong. MGTOW is not a fight. And that's why, guys, I say you have to be careful with this thing and making MGTOW into some type of ideology. Because, into some type of religion. Because MGTOW is just a basic ideology. It's just a basic ideology of men going their own way, but it's not a religion. There are MGTOW communities, but it's not a movement, and it's not a community in and of itself. You don't have to be a part of a MGTOW community or to be a MGTOW. There are many different MGTOW communities, in fact. I think that at the end of the day, it's all about having the freedom to express yourself the way you choose to. And I think that Roaming Millennial being able to express herself is paramount to us being able to express ourselves. I think that she was very rational, and I don't think that she wants a world where men are being suppressed. Now, I saw a comment that said something regarding her. Someone said, STDs and false rape charges. No thanks. I mean, I'm not trying to sleep with Roaming Millennial, guys. I am not trying to develop a relationship with her in that way. I'm just trying to expand my viewpoints and gain feedback. What's happening out there. Do all women think that way? Again, guys, I'm not trying, I put myself in a place of solitude, and a lot of MGTOWs do that. A lot of MGTOWs become echo chamber warriors, but don't forget that you stay in an echo chamber, and it becomes very easy to start living in an ivory tower where you can use logic, rationality, reason to defend every argument, and you can do it from a very noble and well done point of view, but it doesn't make you right. because life is constantly evolving. Things are constantly changing around us. And we have to be able to change with those times, or else we get stuck we get stuck in the past, and we get stuck in our minds. And I'm very guilty of that, as well as other MGTOWs are. It gets very easy to be stuck in your mind and to have a one-track way of thinking, not able to see outside of that echo chamber, not able to go outside of that box. Sabella Shepherd says, well, they have a point. The only thing messing with a bitch like that would get you is STDs, false rape claims, and child support. Guys, I'm not trying to fuck Roaming Millennial. God, I am not trying to fuck Roaming Millennial, okay? I am not trying to fuck Roaming Millennial. Stop it. Guys, alright. Jeez, what is wrong with you? I know I'm not going to be able to please everyone, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people who will continue to say that I'm just trying to get some, get some ass from her. Do you see how irrational in that perspective is? And I didn't think I would entertain this, but let's be realistic right now. I don't even live in the United States. I think she lives in the East Coast in the U.S. From what I understand, the likelihood of me having a sexual relationship with her is at probably zero right now. Zero, zilch, nada, not going to happen. I'm also not looking for attention or female, or I don't need validation from a woman. So your whole argument that, I'm trying to fuck her is complete bullshit. I just wanted to have a rational conversation with her. I just wanted to discuss the issue, and I just wanted to clear the air a little bit. So there's not going to be any angry MGTOW and roaming singing in a tree FUCKING. Okay? You guys need to chill out with that. It's not going to happen. So stop trying to push that narrative even further. I know there's going to be a lot of guys who are angry at the fact that I even chose to have a conversation with her and try to engage in rational dialogue. But again, this is my channel. It's my choice as a man and as a MGTOW who I want to speak with, who I want to speak to, and how I want to express myself. And there's nothing in MGTOW that says you can't speak to a woman. Bebu Sanders says men are servants. That's absolute crap. We are not servants to anyone. Men are not servants. We are leaders of our own destiny. There are some men who are weak, effeminate, and these are the men that Turtling Monkey pointed out would be eunuchs and be dominated by other men and kept as servants and slaves. But men are not born to serve women. And I'll make that very, very clear. Nate Reynolds says, Anger, we all hear your phone going off. How hot are those pics she's sending you? Gosh, wow. Guys, you gotta stop. Guys, you are leaving so many comments about, I don't know if you guys are, some of you guys I think you're trolling, and then others of you are actually serious that you believe that me and Roaming are getting into some type of relationship. It's not gonna happen. Okay? I'm a MGTOW through and through. I'm a man going my own way. It doesn't mean that I'm not saying, for example, that I would never have a relationship with someone like Roaming Millennial. What I am trying to say, and again, I don't want you to misconstrue what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, is that I'm not looking for a relationship, and my conversation with her had nothing to do with that. Again, maybe I might be able to get Blonde in the Belly of the Beast on here one day. And if I have Blonde in the Belly of the Beast on, are you guys going to say the exact same thing, that now I'm trying to fuck Blonde? Guys, I'm a MGTOW, and I'm choosing to forge my own path and my own destiny. And that's what I'm telling all of you guys to do. Learn to be leaders of your own path. And there's always going to be people who disagree with the way you choose to live your life and the people you choose to associate with. But I'm feeling a lot happier with my decisions right now, and and I'm not going to apologize for them, and I'm not gonna let you guys get. I'm not gonna get worked up. It's just that I mean I am looking at all the comments, and Honest Rabbit says at Angry MGTOW, angry plus roaming equals fucking. This is you guys need to stop with this shit. I am not trying to fuck Roaming Millennial. Diamond X roaming is rimming angry right now. You guys are trolling. You guys are trolling really, really hard. By God. Now, Blue Wolf says, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm just going to bring a chameleon on the show and have her act like the Lord of Cinder, the one chosen bitch. See, that's the thing. I didn't bring her on, and everyone thinks that I allowed her to be a chameleon and act like she is a Walt of sorts. She's no Walt. There's no such thing. But at the same time, I don't think that she's a bad person, and I don't think that all women necessarily are exactly the same. They all have the capacity, they all have the same female nature, but it doesn't mean that they all behave the same and they all want the same things. Culture defines behavior. Culture. And it's because of the negative and toxic Western culture why modern day women are like this right now. If you think about the suffragettes were a small group of women. The majority of women didn't actually want the right to vote. If you go back to the 1800s, the vast majority of women did not want the right to vote. Women they considered voting a man's affair. Even after women got the right to vote in 1920 here in America, it took decades for women to actually start going out and voting. It didn't happen overnight because most women considered voting a man's affair. It was something that men did. Think about that carefully. So, it was a small group of narcissistic women that have always led the charge. And then a lot of women just sat by and they didn't say anything as things were running rampant, as women were going off and doing these things, which is something I think Roaming kind of understood that I was trying to say as well. Like, you have all these women that say that there's going to be social change and there's inequalities, but what are the chances of any real social change happening? So, especially when women have so many rampant privileges as a result. We talk about the spoils of feminism. Women got lots of privileges as a result of feminism. They collected many different spoils, and those spoils have led to inequalities between men and women. And Roman acknowledged that, women need to lose a lot of those privileges. And it's something that a lot of anti-feminists don't call out. And I actually was able to create that dialogue. I mean, think about it. If she acknowledged that, and she knows a lot of other anti-feminists, that's something that's a message she can spread, she can pass on as well. And maybe at some point we can find a way to meet in the middle ground rather than having Armageddon between the genders. Captain Marvel, Angry MGTOW, Captain Marvel, one of your Patreons. I'm sending the definition of feminism first generation. He who frames the debate wins, and it's time to frame victory. Stand by. Harris3693 says, angry be hiding his escapades. Oh gosh. Sabella says, you were treating Roaming Millennial like she was a breakable glass doll that you had to be careful with. You shouldn't. If she wants to take part in male conversations, she should be treated the same way a man would be treated in that conversation. Sabella, honestly, I tried that, and the way she responded the first time didn't work very well. Maybe if she spoke to TFM, it would be different. We all have our own styles of conversation, okay? But when I spoke to her, I found that the best way to approach her was from a position of more rationality. Don't forget that she was also raised in Asia. She spent a considerable amount of time being raised in Asia. She even talked about the fact that the Chinese New Year was coming up. So her culture, even though she brought it up. She said that she sounds like a typical white chick, but she went to international schools, which is the reason why she speaks like that. So she sounds like one of us, but her what do you call it? Her culture is different. Her cultural basis is potentially more Asian. I mean, she grew up in Hong Kong. I think she said that she spent something like she spent like 10 years or more in Hong Kong. I mean, that's the culture that she may know very much, that she knows the most. She definitely is not as plugged into Western culture as the average Western woman is. So again, I think that played a role in the way I decided to speak to her, and I think that I achieved quite a lot in this conversation. Again, many of you disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm not apologizing. I'm choosing to lead my life as I see fit. I'm choosing to be the kind of MGTOW, the kind of man that I want to be, and that's the best. That's the only thing you can really do. What the hell is wrong with you guys? You guys are really okay. Damon X says Chinese New Year is today actually. Okay, so yeah, she yesterday she said it was coming up. So Chinese New Year is today. Wade 57 says angry. You're too happy today. More anger, please. See, guys, that's one of the problems. You talk about anger as though you're supposed to always be angry and almost miserable. You don't have to be miserable and angry. Okay? You can hear anger in my voice, and there'll be a bit of anger. Right now, I'm mellow, and I'm being honest, and we're having a rational and coherent conversation. Kane 825 says, "You said Asian women are no different. Angry MGTOW is a hypocrite." Well, here's the thing. I All women share the same nature. All women want a man who has resources. They want a man that can provide for them. But not all women are necessarily out to get a man right off the bat. For example, there may be some women who, yes, they want a man's resources, but they will also take the time to build a life with a man. Again, I don't know everything. And part of how damaging feminism has been to society, it has left men unable to have rational, reasonable, coherent conversations with women. I don't regret the fact that I did not attack roaming, and Sabella is saying I should have. I used kid gloves with her. Again, I talked to her from a reasonable perspective, and I think that that was the best thing. She made many concessions. You have to think about people's culture, and I think that as Americans, we are too fucking violent. We approach everything from a perspective of violence. Like, we have to be dominant. We immediately have to dominate the situation. I felt like it's my channel. So I was in control of this conversation from the very beginning. But at the end of the day, I did not need to assert the fact that, I was in charge. I wanted a space where we could have a real meaningful conversation, and we achieved that. I think we did. And I don't have to please anyone. Disrespectful bastard says roaming millennial isn't bad looking, but no, Angry doesn't like her. He likes debating her. However, just like with Bearing, he gets more views that way. I mean, there's also that point. Outlaw the Jew says Angry turned mellow MGTOW. A mellow yellow. Do you ever heard that song? He's mellow yellow. He's mellow yellow. Rusty Shackford says, if you were more dominant, she would get turned on. You have to show them who's in charge. Do you see what I said? I tried that with her. It didn't work with her. You have to show them who's in charge. Guys, again, I led the conversation. But I didn't have to dominate it. And culture is funny. Some people, if you come across as too dominant, too assertive sometimes, you can. It depends on the culture. I know I'm a man, and I'm proud to be a man. I'm not giving any apologies for anything. You know, me allowing her to speak, me giving her time to speak, doesn't suggest that I wasn't dominant. It suggests that I was confident in myself as a man, that I could allow her to speak. So this was the roaming millennial. This is roaming millennial the aftermath. A MGTOW falls in love, and as you can see, I didn't fall in love with her. I just took the time to speak to her, and I think the conversation went very well. And I want to know if you agree that I did. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think it was right for me to have had the conversation with her? Do you think the conversation went well? Do you think that MGTOW should not have conversations like this with women? We should shut women out entirely. I don't think so anymore. I think that it's on a case by case basis. Depending on the person, we should look at the person and not specifically at the gender in that respect. I don't deny that women share a similar nature, but at the same time, I think that we should look at the individual and decide based on the individual if we want to speak to them or not. What they've done, who they are as people. So let me know what you think in the comment section about my decision to speak with Roaming, how you think the debate went, and and just how you feel about having women having MGTOW having discussions with women. Let me know what you think in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, please consider going over my YouTube homepage or looking at the link in the description to my PayPal. Clicking on the link to my PayPal and leaving a donation. I do 3 of these videos every single day, plus bonus videos, and every donation helps to ensure I continue to make quality content for you guys. Also, never miss another Angry MGTOW video by clicking on the notification button that is right below every video next to the subscribe button. When you click on it, you'll see a pop-up that says send me all notifications for this channel. Just click the box and then hit save. If you've already done it, you don't have to do it again, and this way you'll never miss another another Angry MGTOW video. You'll get notifications whenever I'm live streaming or whenever I put out another video. And again, if you've already done it, you don't have to do it again. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you agree that feminism is dead, that this video I did with Roaming was simply one to engage in dialogue, and or do you think that I should not have done it in the first place, and that MGTOW should not have conversations with women in the first place beyond those that you simply have to have? Do you believe that MGTOW should be living their lives and deciding what MGTOW is, or do you believe that there's an established basis for MGTOWs that all MGTOWs must follow that goes beyond the basic ideologies of men choosing not to get married, have children, or focusing on themselves and their passions? Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you liked the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MGTOW or death. And cheers.